Uh, just letting you know, Chair, that the meeting is live.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to see you all, at least virtually. I hope you all had a really wonderful holiday celebration, whether you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, or just basically having time off. Celebrating hopefully your good health with family and friends. So my best wishes to everyone. Today we've got a Papa Bear agenda. We have 7 items to cover. We have a presentation from the Innisfil Accessibility Advisory Committee. I'm familiar with this committee in my previous role as chair of the Accessibility Advisory Committee for the Simcoe County District School Board. These people do really good work. And if you haven't seen this presentation, which most of you have not, you are in for a treat. We also have basically 2 items from county. We've got 1 item from Oro-Medonte, 2 items from the town of Midland, 1 from Springwater, and 1 from Tay. So we've got quite a bit to cover today. I always like to try and finish by noon, but I don't know if that's going to be possible, but it'll really be up to you to help me kind of expedite our progress through the agenda. So assuming that everybody has taken the time to go through all of the material that you were previously provided, I'll just quickly ask if anyone has any issues with any of the items proposed for today's meeting. Otherwise, I will call for a motion to accept, and I'll also need a seconder for that. So first of all, anybody has any problems with the agenda? Okay, I don't see anything. And I see that Steve, hello, Steve, good to see you. He's got his hand up, so I take it that he's basically making a motion to accept the agenda of today's meeting, to approve it. Okay, he's saying yes, and do I have a seconder for that? Okay, we've got Caleb. So that motion is carried. Thank you very much. Does anyone have any items of pecuniary interest to disclose in relation to today's agenda? Okay, I don't see anything. I'll take that as a negative. Okay, so this basically, I guess, takes us now to our presentation from the IAAC, the Innisfil Accessibility Advisory Committee. Chris, how are we going to do that?
I'll be running the presentation, and I think our IAAC members will be walking through it.
Okay, so I'll just stand by then.
Good morning. Thank you very much for this opportunity to present our program to you. My name is Hilary Mallett. I'm the Vice Chair of the Innisfil Accessibility Advisory Committee. To my right is Karen Brown, and across from me is Dana Donaldson, and we have our county clerk here, Anne, who is working wonders with the computer. A couple of you are familiar faces for us, and particularly you, Doug, because we've presented to you, I believe, a couple of times now, so you're quite familiar with our program. And we are actually delighted and excited and really keen on presenting to you who are unfamiliar with it and explaining a little bit about this and what it entails and the benefits that it provides to the communities, the school programs that we see. This program was actually created in 2013 to provide hands-on demonstrations, and it relates to the barriers that people with disabilities face every day. And a lot of individuals, particularly those in the school program, have no idea until they're actually faced with them visually and are able to be involved interactively as to what these disabilities are. So we present this program to grade 5 students, and it is the only program of its kind here in Simcoe County. And again, we are extremely proud of it. In fact, in 2024, we presented to all 11 schools plus 2 in Cookstown. So it was a really ongoing commitment from ourselves and the volunteers that we require to assist us with the program. Next slide, please. So why do we do this? There is a purpose behind it, obviously. Purpose being, first and foremost, it creates these long-lasting partnerships that we have with the school, with the community, and with our own individuals that we work with. It raises awareness about the disabilities that individuals face each and every day here in our community. And when we speak to the kids in grade 5, you know, they refer to their grandparents or perhaps somebody down the street. And then occasionally it comes out that there are children in the school program themselves that also have these individual disabilities that they may or may not be aware of. We teach the children and help them to learn about the barriers, and we like them to think about things that they can do as they grow up to address these issues and change the stigma. And we all know there are stigmas associated with these disabilities. It reinforces the importance of universal access and inclusion for everyone. And that is a huge component of the program when we present. Next slide, please.
I work with the wheelchair demonstration program, which is one of 4 programs. And if you want to look at the next slide, you will see a picture of Rick, who also works in the program. Rick lives in a wheelchair 24/7, so he is a perfect advocate for this program. Some of you also may recognize Rod Boynton in that picture. He's no longer with our committee, but certainly was when this picture was taken. So the kids really enjoy getting into the wheelchairs because for them, it's only a few minutes. But having them maneuver in and out of crash doors is somewhat challenging. If there's a ramp in the school, then we get them to go up and down the ramp. Going up requires a lot of strength. They need to eat their Wheaties. Going down, though, is even harder because of the balance that it requires and the fact that you're going down and there are really no brakes. One of my favorite things to do in that demonstration is to take the kids into a washroom. So we do try to go into the most up-to-date washroom in the school. We look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'll tell you an aside, there is nothing funnier than taking a bunch of grade 5 boys into a girls' washroom. There's a lot of horror and giggling and carrying on, but it really does educate them, we hope, to look at the things that are being pointed out to them so that when they're out in the wild, as it were, they can recognize that and say, oh, that's not good because it's not accessible. And this is the reason why we learned this. So I love working with that program, but there are 3 others that are equally wonderful for the kids. So I'll pass it back to Hillary.
Before you pass it back, that's you, Karen, speaking, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. You mentioned about Rod, who I had the great pleasure of knowing. I just wondered, hopefully you can tell me, how's he doing? I know he's no longer with the IAAC, but there's Rod and also his wife. Just wondered how they're doing.
Well, since we're on YouTube, I really don't want to get into
Okay.
too personal a discussion. Happy
Yeah,
to have that conversation with you offline, though, because we all did see him at our recent Christmas lunch.
Okay, I just wanted to know if he's doing okay. That's all. Thank you.
He's doing fine. Yes, yes.
Okay, thanks. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
So moving on, we'll discuss the hearing demonstration, which is possibly the least favorite of all of the demonstrations, but as I like to stress, one of the most important, because if you can't hear, then you can't hear what's going on in the other demonstrations that we are providing. We have 2 instructors. We utilize a laptop. We have 10 headphones. We have connection equipment for the laptop, and of course, you need electrics to run it. And basically what we do is we provide a recording for the students to hear, and it's at varying degrees of volume. We discuss safety for hearing, how one can cope without it, assisted devices that are present for them. And they kind of get a little bit upset when I do tell them that most of them have exceptional hearing. So when they tell their teachers that they didn't do their homework because they didn't hear her, that excuse is no longer valid. After the demonstration, we speak again very clearly, very succinctly about hearing safety, give different types of hearing loss, and again, speak of the assistive devices that are out there. What's one of the most fascinating aspects of this is when I tell them or speak to them about Q-tips. hopefully Johnson and Johnson doesn't realize that I'm maligning their name, but Q-tips and placing them in the ear canal is a huge, huge issue. And having worked as a nurse in Emerge, I can relate some of my anecdotal information, which creates quite a group of oohs and ahs when they realize just how dangerous these things can be. So again, ear health, disabilities, assistive devices is all covered here in this demonstration. And you'll see that in the picture that's involved alongside. So next slide, please.
All right, so the vision demonstration, which I have worked on myself, if you go to the next slide in the picture, oh, you can see it on that picture there. So John, that is standing there with a white cane, John is actually another committee volunteer, and he is actually blind. So he was born with an eye disease and he has never had vision. And he really, really, really gets to the kids. Again, just like Rick, he has a lot of experience when it comes to being blind. And in this demonstration, the kids get blindfolded, and then they have to use a white cane to either find a set of keys, which get tossed onto the floor so you can hear it, or another part of it is to find a pylon, again, blindfolded with a little bit of guided technique. When I run this station, I usually go over some of the different ways that you can do sighted guide walking with someone with a vision impairment. As I am a certified deafblind intervention specialist, so I have a lot of training around again, how to use all these vision tools, these assistive devices for vision. Again, John really gets to the kids, and at the end of our program, he always asks the kids how much, or if they enjoyed themselves or if they learned anything. And usually about 95% of the kids raise their hands, and John can't see them. So he asks them again with way more enthusiasm, and the kids are really quick to get it, and they all shout that they've had a wonderful time with all of us.
That's great.
So this is the station I normally work the most. It's the interactive and sensory demonstration station. So we go over a lot in this station. I have a toolkit that is called an experience tool, and it goes through different items of how you would teach someone with deafblindness how to cook. One of my greatest passions. So of course I always enjoy teaching people, and the kids really kind of get an understanding of, oh, you can do things even though you have a disability, like being deafblind. So we talk a lot about that. I do a little bit of American Sign Language teaching. We talk a lot about eye health. So we have a goggle kit that has different eye conditions in it, so the kids can kind of see what it's like. And they can really relate to their classmates that wear glasses. That's probably one of the really cool ones, is that there's a near and far-sighted, which is what most of us would wear glasses for. And, we always have children in the classes that are wearing them. So it's really relatable. We also use blindfolds and gloves as a sensory item. We have the kids do puzzles with them, so that if you have an acquired brain injury, if you have autism, sometimes your senses in your fingers are, they're a little bit different. So we get the kids to do a puzzle with the gloves on so that they understand it, and as well as blindfolded. And then we ask them to take one glove off and try and complete the puzzle. It is a lot of fun. They do have a lot of fun, although we do a lot of talking, and that station is a little bit boring, like the vision or like the hearing. The kids actually do seem to enjoy the program.
Fabulous. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
I think you're the next one.
Oh, I'm the next slide too. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so equipment resources. So next slide, sorry. For the presentation. So the wheelchairs, we have 13. And this allows us to have a roughly 10 children in each group going through each station, as well as this is where teachers and principals also can come and join us. So we have youth wheelchairs and we also have adult size wheelchairs. The hearing demonstration, we need a laptop, 10 noise canceling headphones, the cables, the jacks, and there is an audio recording with environmental sounds varying at different levels. The vision demonstration is 3 white canes, blindfolds, and objects to tossed on the floor, such as, like I told you about, the keys, the cones. That station also has a bag full of stuffed animals, all different stuffed animals that we try and get the kids to kind of distinguish between. Because someone who is blind, you can't say to them, put on your blue shirt today. They don't know what that means. So when we do it with the children, they know what it means. Sorry, they know what a shirt is, but again, just knowing different textures. So the kids always pull out a stuffed animal and they have to figure out what it is. Is it a duck? Is it a bear? Is it a bunny rabbit? And it kind of helps them go, oh, when people are trying to get dressed, this is what they have to distinguish. Am I putting on jeans, track pants? You know, that sort of thing. So that's another part that we have in our vision demonstration. And then the interactive sensory demonstration is puzzles, blindfolds, gloves. We have the Zimmerman low vision kit that I was talking about. So it comes with different goggles. It comes with varying degrees of vision. So the kids can see that. The experience tool I was talking about and the ASL learning posters. So if the kids are done their puzzles, they can take their blindfolds off and they usually tend to look at the posters and practice their sign language themselves. That was the next slide.
So our committee is made up of the people you see on the slide. There've been a couple of changes since that was done. Councillor Robert Saunders is our chair, and Rod, as I noted, has left and been replaced with Erin. Is she in there? Yes, she's in there. Sorry, I've got an older sheet here, but yeah, Erin is with us now, and Kim Boss, who you see there, I think she's been a member since the IAAC was founded. She's been there for a long time and provides us a lot of really terrific information. Rick, who you saw on the wheelchair demonstration slide, was on the committee. He has now retired, but has joined us for the demonstrations. So, you know, it's really interesting to see that when people get connected to this committee and start being involved in the activities, they really embrace everything that it is, and having some continued association benefits not only them but us. It's a really big win-win. Of course, we work with our planning committee at the town. We're trying to establish better coordination with them, because there are projects that perhaps should come to us for review that don't always quite make it, but it's just not part of their planning cycle. So we're trying to strengthen that relationship a little bit so that we can have greater input into subdivisions and business development sort of buildings. It's amazing what we can tell them just from lived experience. I work as an accessibility professional. That's my day job. And one of the things I constantly say to people is code is the least you have to do to avoid getting sued. So we always want to go beyond code whenever we can, and when it makes sense for not only the end users, but when you look down the road at how a building might be used or an outdoor space might be used, we do have to widen our vision and take everybody into account. So this committee is really inspiring. It's great to work with all of these people. They're all tremendous, and I look forward to every single meeting, as I'm sure everybody else on the committee does. So I'll pass it back to Hillary. If we could have the next slide, please.
And we actually end our presentation regarding Clerk Services support. That is a huge component of this program. I can honestly say I've been involved with the committee now since 2014, that we wouldn't be where we are today without the support of this very vital person. I'm not sure if you have a picture there. We have changed And our assistant clerk to the IAAC was Kim Creamer, and bless her cotton socks, she has now retired after a long time, long relationship here.
She's British, could you tell?
And we are very proud to welcome Ann Norris to our team. She's been a fabulous asset right from the word go, and it's a learning curve for both her and us as a team, but we are so very pleased, so very proud, as speaking to Karen's comments, to continue with this initiative, to continue with this program within the school systems. And it's really fabulous when we have schools actually contacting the county office saying, when can you come in? When can we provide this program? And how often can we do it? So from us to you, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. I hope it was a learning experience for you. We certainly enjoy doing this, and we look forward to any questions that you may or may not have. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Hillary. It's always a pleasure to see you either in person or virtually.
Thank you.
Thinking about our relationship, it goes back over 10 years, actually. I remember going to visit you and your fellow IAAC members a long time ago, and I got to meet Rick and, of course, Kim. You know, I had great relationships with both of them. So thank you very much. I think for yourself and Karen and Dana, in each case, I think your presentations were flawless. This to me is an outstanding best practice that I'm aware of. I think some of you know that I served on the provincial table for the education accessibility standard. And based on my role in that regard, I got to meet a lot of other people from AACs across the province. And I have to say that, you know, the Innisfil AAC is one of the most progressive and leading AACs that I'm aware of right across the whole province. So I, you know, tip my hat off to you. And of course, speaking of leading and progressive AACs, of course, that's our own Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee, right, folks? Anyway, well done. This is fantastic. Now, I've got my own feelings about this, but I'd just like to get the feelings of other people on this committee. But having said that, you know, you've done such a wonderful job with the education community, both the Simcoe County District School Board, and I think also the Simcoe Catholic Simcoe Muskoka Catholic District School Board. Both of them you've done fantastically. But now I think, and this certainly, I can't think of a better example to make people aware. And I'm talking about not just students, grade 5 students. I'm talking about everybody in the community. And, you know, we on the Accessibility Committee, we have a responsibility to do our very best to improve awareness on the part of everybody in our community with regard to the needs, issues, concerns of the disabled community. So I'm thinking that maybe there's a way, and maybe you've got an idea too, maybe there's a way of applying this as a model toward the greater community, you know, in each member township, and do it in conjunction with National Accessibility Awareness in May. I mean, okay, not everybody's got the time to do all the stuff that you're doing, but maybe we can sort of think about that, and maybe there's you know, take it in pieces or something. But anyway, I'll sort of finish at this point, and I'd like to get the opinion and the suggestions of other people.
Well, if I could just speak to you first, Doug, before I see we have a question there. We actually did take it to the town staff last year. It was made mandatory for them to attend, and we presented here in the Innisfil offices, and it was extremely well received.
Oh, yeah.
We changed it up a little bit because obviously we're assuming that, you know, our program is geared to grade 5 students, because those are the individuals who will retain and take the information. Any lower than that, they tend to lose the initiative and the patience to stay with us, and anyone older than that tends to feel they're far too cool to be a part of it. So we changed the program up somewhat to address it here with the individuals working for the town, and it was phenomenal. We really enjoyed it. They enjoyed it. And in fact, we're now looking at enrolling it into the program to ensure, because obviously staff come and go, that the new staff actually do take part in it as well. So we're going to be working with Anne on that to see how far we can continue with it. And we have looked at providing it to the community. We've looked at doing something utilizing our recreation center here at the Y. We've run into some huge issues because we can't get everybody here because of transportation. Bus costs, as I'm sure you know, are prohibitive. There are huge issues regarding drivers and times and whatnot. And we have looked at this problem from both sides, up and down and back and forth. And we really haven't yet come up with a solution how we can get a large group of our children or community members here. We talked about doing it on a weekend, but then of course there were so many other extracurricular activities that the children have and parents are involved in. So if you had any suggestions, I'm certainly sure we would be more than pleased to receive them and hopefully act upon them.
If I can just add to what Hillary said, we do have documents, PDFs that describe the entire process that go way beyond the presentation we just gave you. And I think Kim may have sent those out to you in the early days, but I'm sure Anne can send them again. We send those to anybody that wants them because we've had requests from all over Ontario. I think there was even somebody out in BC.
Yes.
So
Yes,
we can send them the essence of the program, certainly, and they can make it their own. I think there are costings attached to it, the
Yes,
whole 9 yards.
yeah,
So
the pricing is all.
we're keeping the program in any way, shape, or form. We certainly want everybody to be able to access it.
Absolutely. On that note, I mean, the one thing I was quite impressed with, I think it was Hillary that mentioned that it's sort of like mandatory for members of council to participate in this sort of thing. I'm loving that, and it was an outstanding success. I'm thinking, wait, why not have the same thing, the same approach for all members of County of Simcoe Council? Why the hell
You're
not?
here. We thoroughly applaud that, yes, because it's interesting to hear the questions, the information, and the concerns that come forth from them as well. It really was an eye-opening experience for many of them, I'm sure.
Right. So I'd like to get some other comments on that. I mean, I'm just the chair, so perhaps from some of the other councilors, what do you think about that? Let's see, Sean is there. I don't know if he's got his audio on or not.
Hi, Doug. Sorry, I'm driving right now, so trying to find the mic button at the same time.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys can hear me okay.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm all for it. I think this program is wonderfully designed, and I like the fact that people actually get to experience it, right? And understand the world through somebody with a disability's perspective, right? I was about to say eyes, but I don't think that would have gone over well. So I think we can absolutely make it probably part of our accessibility week. And I think we have a council meeting around that time. Chris might be able to jump in here and confirm that we've got one somewhere around there. I think 32 councilors going through this would be amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you for the support, Sean.
Thanks, Doug.
Any other comments? Chris, do you think that's something we can stick handle? Or Patrick?
Doug, Lisa had her hand up and then Jan as well.
See, I don't see any of that on my system here. So
if you want, I can help direct that.
Thank you, because it doesn't work for me here. And
yeah, let me help facilitate that, Doug. Lisa, do you want to go ahead?
Sure. So first I want to thank you for your presentation, and I'm going to preface with what I'm about to say. Please don't get offended. You know, sometimes we have to ask hard questions to really ensure that we're meeting the needs. So I'm sure you guys are aware there's a lot of discourse out there within the disability community about the harm that is caused by disability stimulations. This is something that's being, you know, talked about over and over again. And my question to you is not, you know, is what do you do in this sort of training module to mitigate those risks? And also, it's great that we're showing students about, you know, little pieces of someone's lived experience, because obviously you're never going to get the true full experience of what it's like to live in a disabled body if you're not disabled. But are you also doing things towards the end of the workshop to show students about, like, what happens when barriers are removed, right? Because we don't want students walking away thinking, well, you know, my peer who's blind, this is the world that they're going to live in, and they're always going to encounter, you know, like, we don't want them walking away with just the negatives. We want that messaging around. But when we remove barriers and when we create universal design, everybody can access things equitably and everyone can participate. So I'm just wondering, how do you sort of like wrap it up with the students? Do they walk away with a sense of, well, you know, if we all work together to play our role, our parts in removing barriers, then we can all, you know, play together in an equitable way?
Right.
That's a good question. And we always do an opening session with students and we do a closing session. And Dana has addressed how John responds to that. But one of the questions I like to ask the students who were there is that, you know, going down the educational path, what they aspire to be. And, you know, as an architect or a builder or a designer or a contractor or what have you, and challenge them with the questions as to, okay, you've seen some of the disabilities that we've laid out for you here. How do you think you can address those? What do you think you can do and the difference that you can make going forward? And does it work for a lot of them? Yes, they go away or they come up with questions thinking, well, if I was to build a building, could I do, or what have you? So we plant the seed and hope that it does grow within there. Yes, we're addressing disabilities and the barriers, but we also leave them with a sense of they can make a change. And I don't know, Karen, if you have something else to add to that, or
Sure. I think that when we go into schools, we are seen by much more than the grade fives. I'm thinking back a few schools ago when Rick and I had a bunch of kids out in the wheelchairs going up and down the halls. And we were stopped, I was stopped by a grade one teacher who had some questions. And then later we were stopped by a grade two class who had some questions about what we were doing and why we were doing it. And we were told later that what that led to was the grade ones had noticed that we had been pointing to some Braille signage on the washrooms. And the student wanted to know why they didn't have Braille signage for every single room in the school. So that led to a campaign by this grade one class to the principal to have every room labeled with Braille. So, you know, I think when we're delivering the program, you have to look at the plus minuses.
Yeah,
I know
of
what you're
course.
saying.
Yeah.
And when I go to conferences and they do demonstrations, I generally decline to participate unless it's a piece of equipment that might be helpful in my practice. Then I want to know what it's about so that I can take it back to my clients. But you have to look at the plus minuses. We only have the students for maybe 10 minutes, maybe 13 minutes per station. So we want to make the kind of impression that we can make on them that is positive and that they will retain going forward in their real life. And as Hillary said, when they grow up, what will they become? Because they will be the advocates. The second point I want to make is that I constantly have discussions with colleagues about the use of the word accessibility. And I have come to feel that we made a mistake talking about accessibility rather than universal design. Way back when. I much prefer the term universal design because it doesn't other people.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I feel that that's what happens. You know, we're an accessibility committee, not a universal design committee. Things are accessible tools, not universal tools. So I'm sure you all get the gist of that. It's too late to kind of go back and, you know, rebrand it now. But when I do give talks, I do tend to speak in terms of universal design. I'm doing some teaching at Georgian College in the next few months and have done a class already. And I did talk in terms of universal design. It makes a lot more sense to talk that way. And in Europe, my colleagues in Europe, That's the term they use as
Yeah.
well. They don't talk about accessibility. It's just universal design.
Yeah.
Dana,
Right
did you
on.
have something to add?
I did. I wanted to add one more thing on the positive note of things is that we always hand out a questionnaire to the students for them to go back to class and fill out what was their favorite station, what did they learn, all the different things. And I think it's been 2 schools now that have written things and the students have said written on the bottom on the page, please read this to John.
Yes.
So I think we are getting through to them, right? Because obviously John can't read their printing and and they've run out. We've been standing outside, and they have run out to give us these pictures, to give us these things, again, to show us how much they appreciate.
Yeah.
God bless
Yeah,
them.
and I just want to say, I think what you've built is amazing. I'm not critiquing you by any means. I see,
Not taking that away.
especially in in education and in childhood, I see the value in these things, right? I mean, how many children are walking into classrooms with AACs and their peers just don't understand why they're using them, and why does the teacher make a big fuss about them? And I think that you're creating an awareness of difference and abilities and all these things, and I think it's so important because you're bringing discourse to the classroom. Just having been being an accessibility consultant myself, I've encountered a lot of disabled people who get very obviously upset about these types of things. So it's just always that sort of in the back end, how do we frame it in a way where people walk away understanding what we're showing you is a piece of someone's lived experience, right? It's not the whole thing. But I applaud you for what you've built. I think it's really holistic. It's looked at a lot of different things, and it's very clear that your passion has been built into it too. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I certainly echo what Lisa has just said. So getting back to the whole idea about, putting council through the paces a little bit. Chris, I'm going to sort of lean on you, or maybe Patrick, if he's monitoring this. I would like to basically frame a motion that we recommend that council do this.
I hear what you're saying. I don't think a motion is strictly necessary. We've definitely heard you. We have some conversations. We have another meeting coming up in March, and we're hearing you loud and clear. I think that I think there's some excitement around the idea, and I think it frames well the Accessibility Week. We have a council meeting, I think, on the Tuesday of National Accessibility Week, so it's very viable. We'll have some conversations we have to have with the clerk and possibly with individuals like the warden as well. But I don't see some huge issue or anything like that. I just don't, with no financial implications or anything like that. I don't think a motion is strictly necessary, and we've taken what you've said, and we'll come and report back at that March meeting.
That sounds good, Chris. You're on it. That's all that matters to me. Thank you.
Doug, maybe we'll throw it over to Jan and then Steve.
Thank you.
Real quick.
Just let me unmute myself. Yeah, thanks. Great presentation. That was wonderful. Very informative. I was just curious as to how your resources and equipment is funded.
Actually, we beg, borrow, and steal. Not really. We have a budget that had been provided to us through the town. We
Okay.
went, in fact, I did a presentation to them where I actually requested financial support, and we got it. We actually, in fact, I was at the county offices on one particular day when we were doing a sort of a fair, an accessibility fair, and I got chatting to the chappie that was standing at the booth behind us, who Superior Home Healthcare.
Oh, yeah.
And
Great guy.
we have now developed a wonderful working relationship with him. And in fact, he has very generously donated wheelchairs. He provides the maintenance for them, so we are always having them checked to make sure that they're in good working order.
Great.
And sitting across from me is our Dana, who herself personally donated 3 wheelchairs to us, which is now how we've reached the amount of 10 plus. And again, they are maintained. So it's with the budget that we have. We're obviously aren't huge spenders. We do try and keep within that, and we've been able to manage it. We certainly utilize, smaller chain shops. I won't obviously describe or name them for fear of propagandizing them, but we utilize those shops to gain and access any of the equipment needs that we have. Obviously, the larger ones do have a price tag that come with them, but it's a one-time price tag. And if you look after that equipment, it looks after you. So
That would be the vision.
Yeah, the vision,
the Zimmerman kit.
the Zimmerman kit is $495
Yeah.
US.
US. So
US,
that was purchased, I think, within a budget years ago.
Yeah.
And again, the kit has just been maintained. The experience tool, I donated that. I had built that for a client, which I supported, who no longer needed it. So I donated that. And again, our former clerk, Kim, she would just take small bits of the budget every year to build things up. I believe the white canes were donated by John,
That's
or
right. Yes.
John had them donated by the CNIB for us. So yeah, we've done a lot of things on donation and just getting ourselves out there. But yes, we have had to make a few purchases.
Right.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Steve, do you
And
want to jump in
Stephen?
now?
So, as many know here in committee, I challenged everybody at town council in my town to spend the day in a wheelchair and understand a little more what it's like to be disabled or to have limitations on what you can access. The only person to take me up on it was Doug, the actual mayor. But I'd like to see this program implemented in every town council in every town in Simcoe to show them this is what the limitations are, so they have a better understanding when we give suggestions, why we're giving those suggestions, why we're saying something as simple as the placement of the soap dispenser and the hand dryer within reach of the sink is so important, so they can actually experience themselves is so incredible. And I think every town should do this. Every committee, every town, when they form their town council the first year, should go through this program to have a better understanding of what it's like to be in our situation.
I agree.
Stephen, if I can add to that, I think your staff needs to go through this as well, particularly in the planning department. And if anybody is looking at space allocations, that committee, we have one here at Innisfil doing that right now. That committee needs to go through it also. And to reference my favorite expression about code being the least you have to do, we have been in schools where I've walked into the universal washroom and the door lock, the emergency call switch, and something else. They were all lined up on the same electrical circuit just inside the door. Does it meet code? Yes. Is it useful for anybody? No, absolutely not. But it was the convenience factor for the electrician who installed it. So until you understand the why, then you can't really do right by any of the design that is being created. That's the most important piece. So anybody that is dealing with the why, they need to participate in something like this so that they do see how people with disabilities actually use the spaces that they're required to live and work and play in.
Yeah. Well spoken, Anne.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else that wants to chime in here? Now, somebody was talking about this John guy. I know who you're talking about. You're talking about John Tom. He's
John Tom. Yep.
one of the most philanthropic, one of the most honest guys I've ever run into. I think some of you know he is the co-owner of I think it's called Superior Home Healthcare Services. Him and his wife Susie. His wife Susie is the co-owner, and these are just amazing people. I know I served for 4 years as director with Empower Simcoe, and we needed some wheelchairs. We just pick up the phone, bang. I mean, do you need a dozen? You got it. These people are just outstanding. We're lucky to have people like that in our community.
We certainly are, and it's an amazing partnership that we here in Innisfil have with them as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got a lot of other stuff to go through, so I have to probably, basically complete our discussion now, unless anybody has any last items that they want to put on the table. Okay.
Not seeing any hands, Doug.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks very much, Caleb. So once again, Hillary, Karen, Dana, and Anne, thank you very, very much for an outstanding presentation. It is going to make a difference. You can tell through what Chris has said, our accessibility supporting person in county. This is going to be discussed, I think, with the board and the deputy board and eventually with council. And so we're going to basically take the mantle based on what your leadership and move this toward each of the individual townships, including the general county. So thank you so much for the time you've taken, and it's been my pleasure, Hillary, in particular, to have known you for so long.
Thank you. Right back at you. I'm still waiting for that cup of tea and chocolate biscuit.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was gonna bring that up actually, but I did give you I did give you an invitation, and I certainly did not miss the point about the chocolate covered biscuit. Very, very, very important. So maybe the three of you, or maybe you, Karen, Dana, and Anne, could come for a cuppa here. We know how to make a cuppa. And I know how to get chocolate covered biscuits. And basically, it's 45 minutes along Highway 89 from Innisfil to where I live in the country. So I'm going to leave that on you guys to come up with a date, and we're going to do it.
We will.
Perfect.
Yes, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. We really, really appreciate it. Do take care.
Well, the pleasure's all ours. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for your support, Caleb. So I'll leave this to, I guess, Chris well, I guess at this point, I mean, there's nothing else to do. We've received the presentation. We can certainly show that in the minutes. And then I guess that just leaves us to the next item, which is item 7.1 in our agenda. Are you still with me, Chris?
Yes, I am. If you, with your leave, I can provide a very quick update on the 2026 draft work plan, if that's all right with you.
Easy. Please go ahead.
I think committee members should be relatively familiar with this. This is the annual work plan that we bring forward. Usually we bring it at the last meeting of the year. I was off for a few months, so it got pushed to the first meeting of 2026. So apologies as being a few weeks late, but this is the work plan for the 2026 AAC. It's in its draft state at the moment. Similar to what we've had before, I know there was a recommendation to review all agenda items and stuff that was on 2025 work plan. We brought that forward to 2026 again as I was off for a little bit. So this is presented for the committee's consideration. If they have any adjustments, additions, removals, we're more than happy to hear it. The other thing I would always add is that, of course, things tend to crop up throughout the year. So we'll be bringing other things forward. So as, of course, you spoke about a few minutes ago regarding that what the IAAC is doing, so we'll bring that forward in March, but there'll be other things that'll come forward, certainly towards the fall as we move into election season here for council, so there's election accessibility, that kind of thing. And I would add that this is, of course, the final work plan of this term of the committee, so, any last things need to be ticked off, now's the opportunity, I suppose. Okay, well, great. Thank you very much, Chris. No, I think you've done a good job. My only issue, well, it's not an issue, it's just a point to discuss. As you know, in the past, we've always used a couple of slots for facility reviews, which we've done in many places across the county. And I know that in the draft plan, you've basically got a couple of slots open for July and August. I most certainly would not want to lose that. And I don't know, maybe you've got one or more facilities that you think would be a good subject to conduct our facility reviews. But I'm also thinking, and I've talked to a couple of members. I know basically Lisa has talked about this, and also Jan. We're talking about playgrounds. And I'm thinking, maybe what we could consider, and maybe we can use one of those slots for that, is perhaps to do a review of one of the playgrounds. And on that basis, perhaps improve our checklist system, but just devote it to playgrounds.
That's what I'm thinking. Other than that, I don't really have any problems with the proposed uh, work plan. Any other comments, like maybe Jan or possibly Lisa? Okay, if anybody's speaking, I can't hear you.
I think
Okay.
it's possible to, I think, and Jan, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we still need to narrow down what that checklist looks like, because we don't have provincial or federal standards that currently specifically exist around this that we can pull from. So we'd have to sort of build our own checklist off of other standards and kind of manipulate it. So it's not that I'm necessarily opposed to the idea, but I feel like there's still a bit of work that we would have to do for it.
Agreed. I think, yeah, and I'd love to do that. I think it's really important.
Well, we don't want to be losing it, and I don't think you are.
No.
So as long as that's still in the mix here, as long as it's an issue that's still being worked, then I'm fine with that. And is there a requirement for a meeting on that? Well, if there is, at least you've got July or August, these two slots to work with that.
Yeah, if we could get together sometime and hammer it out together, that'd be great.
Yeah, exactly. And you come to my place for a cuppa as well.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, I don't know if anybody else wants to chime in on this? Okay, I don't see anything. So, thank you very much for that, comment, our conversation. So, because I want to get cracking with this, agenda here, this is basically leading us to, I think, the recommendation that, item AAC 2026-025, regarding the work plan for 2026 be received, and that subject to any modifications that the Jack has made, and I think we've sort of talked about that, that we approve this work plan. So at this point, I'd just like to ask for someone to make a motion to that effect, and also to a seconder. So we've got Steve, he's moving, and we've got Jan. So that motion is carried. Thank you very much. Let's move on.
This would be, I can actually provide a very quick update on this. So the current update for item 7.2 regarding the enhancing access to spaces, everyone, we were originally going to have our project coordinator for health equality, Simcoe, Jacqueline Birchall, speak to that. The update that we are providing at this moment is that there is no update, and that is all we can say at the moment.
Okay, that sort of works in my favor here to move through this agenda quickly. Thank you. Any comments or concerns in that regard? I don't see anything. So let's move on. My goodness, are we already to Midland? Is that correct, Chris?
Skip ahead.
I believe the next item on the list is Vassy Park restrooms for the town of.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. So what do we have to say about that?
Hello, so I'm Josh Andrew. I'm the supervisor of parks and facilities for the township of Oromadani.
Hey, Josh.
Hello, thanks everybody for joining me, and I'll have to follow Innisfil's presentation, but here we go. So we're looking to convert baseball diamond, an old block washroom that had plywood partition walls and is in a rural part on Vasey Road. We're obviously looking to do a washroom design capital project build there. So we put out an RFQ to some contractors and are looking to make this space building code and AODA accessible. I did submit the drawings. I don't know if Jeanette's with me from our team, or yeah, there we go. So the proposal was to convert two block washrooms to AODA accessible washrooms. Obviously, following the quotes from our contractors and the money that was set aside for the capital project, we don't have the funding to do both washrooms, unfortunately. So looking at this drawing, the left side will be converted to an accessible washroom. and the right side is going to be used as a storage space for cleaning supplies, ball diamond items, whatnot. So this is the drawing we received from our contractor. After today's meetings and any recommendations from your group, we're going to submit those to him, and then he's got 10 days to follow up with any design changes and to submit us with his final drawings. But you can see here going through, so it is the block washroom, has a masonry block wall on the outside. So that 1200 millimeter spacing, we were looking into maybe removing some of that block wall, masonry block wall, but he says with the 1200 millimeters, that should be sufficient enough for a wheelchair turning radius. And we're going to be looking to add a ramp, obviously to grade with a 5-inch slope. AODA standard is 8-inch, so that will run out to a high performance bedding screened path that the ball diamond uses for wheelchair access. Obviously, we're going to look to add barrier-free door actuators. You'll see that the 965 millimeter will give you the swing door clearance. Obviously, looking at some of Steve's comments there about soap dispensers, paper towel dispensers, toilet paper. Obviously, we'd love to have this obviously at the appropriate heights, but any recommendations on placement, definitely feel free. We're going to do that in-house ourselves after obviously the build's done. We're looking to add lighting and braille signage obviously in front of this building. And then you can see, yeah, we're looking to add a baby change station and an adult change station set up in there, grab bars. And yeah, I think that's comments. Any questions, concerns, any questions, feel free to send them my way and we can go from there. Yeah, Stephen?
I was just going to give a suggestion. When you do put the sink in place, put a chair in front of it, park your butt in the chair. And if you can't reach the soap dispenser and paper towel dispenser, then it's not in the right spots. That's basically, that would be my biggest suggestion. If you're sitting in front of the sink, can you reach both? If not, I can't use my hands when they're soapy and wet or so wet to get to the towel dispenser. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. I use forearm crutches to get around most places, and when my hands are now wet, I've got to somehow get to the dryer. Those are the things that really bother me about bathroom design, and I suggest everyone that designs a bathroom sit down put the chair next to the toilet and try to get off the toilet using the bars that you've put in to make sure, yes, they are in the right spot to transfer. Some people put them in such unusual spaces that it's like, how am I supposed to use that to get to my chair from this toilet? It makes no sense.
Yeah, no, great comment. I appreciate the feedback on that. Definitely will take you up on that one.
Thank you, Josh.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Lisa, Jan, anybody?
Yeah, I got a couple for you. So you can't put a baby table and an adult table next to each other. You're gonna have to maneuver that around. The other thing is your dispensers are definitely not in the right place. You have to really have them. There's specific heights I can give you if you want. Your 700 millimeter clearance is not enough. You need at minimum 1500, although the ideal standard is 2100.
Okay.
Just give me a second. I'm trying to zoom in a little bit more. Okay, so your grab bars I'm assuming this is meant to be a universal washroom, like a one-stall universal.
Our plan was a family accessible washroom. If we're going to do it, let's do it and try to get with the times.
Okay, so you have a grab bar on the side, which is great, but universal washrooms also require one behind the toilet. So you should have one on the side and one on the behind. And I'm trying to see what else. You should have a clearing of 760 between your grab bars and the adjacent space.
Okay.
And let me see what else here. Your coat hooks, you should really put in a completely different area. They're not in the ideal space. Coat hook, ideally, you should put near the door entrance.
Okay.
And then I'm just looking at what else. Sorry, I'm working off of 2 screens here and I can't see very well.
No, I appreciate the feedback. I know the contractor was just kind of plugging in stuff, but he's going to give us another drawing design after feedback.
And where your sink is, you got to have at least 480 from that side wall. It's way too close to the side.
So Josh is taking notes. That's good.
Yeah.
And I think everything else looks okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you tried sourcing adult tables? Because I've been doing this for a project that I'm working on right now. It's going to be very challenging for you to fit an adult table and a baby change table in there. My recommendation is if you're thinking of using an adult one, scrap the baby one and just use the adult one.
Okay. That's a good comment. Yeah.
And I think that's everything that I had on my notes.
Perfect. No, thank you for that feedback. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Lisa. Any other comments? Okay, I don't see anything. So, Josh, thanks so much for giving us the presentation, and thank you to Lisa and Janice as well for some comments. So I think that's going to allow us to move forward on this. I think Josh has got all the information that he needs to deal with his contractors. So at that point, I think I'd just like to move now to the recommended action. So number one is to receive the information provided to you in your package. And number two is to basically endorse the site plan based on our discussions this morning. Anybody? Okay, we've got Steve. Steve is probably going to motion to accept, right? Okay, he's nodding in the vertical. Seconder, please. We've got Melissa. Melissa, is that you, Melissa? Wow.
Me, yes.
Yes, welcome. Happy New Year, Melissa.
Happy New Year.
Thank you very much. Great to have you along. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so that recommendation is now it's accepted. So thanks a lot. We're doing not too badly. So now I think we're moving now to the town of Midland. We have items, well, there's two site plans that we need to talk about. The first is item 7.4. If I can find that in my stack of information here. And I believe we have Andy Warzen, the senior planner for the town of Midland. Are you around? Andy?
Yes, yeah, I am. Thank you, Chair.
Welcome, Andy.
Thank you very much, and welcome also, and hello to all the other committee members. Thank you for allowing me to come forward here and to get some feedback from everyone in the committee. I just wanted to also state it, I find it very beneficial to be able to sit and listen to a lot of the comments about accessibility and the physical constraints with the built form. So this is also a very informative exercise for me to be a part of. And even the washroom thing, I literally just went and I was starting to look around myself where everything is placed. So very, very interesting points. And I agree too. I think that planners should be being, asked to try it out for a day and see the constraints so that we have a better understanding. So again, I support that too. And I'd love to do it actually, because again, every time I come here, and I think this is my second time in front of your committee, but it's very informative. Now, I see that the site plan drawing's already been put up on the screen for everyone, which is great. I had it on a separate screen. I don't know if I need to share. It looks like everything's good. So I'll just really quickly, if anyone is familiar with the Midland Golf and Country Club here in Midland, it's been around since I believe it's 1909. It's a very dated clubhouse. So they are moving forward right now with a new proposed clubhouse, as you can see on the screen, centralized right in the middle there. That's more or less the exact same location where the golf course clubhouse currently is. The building has actually gotten a little bit smaller, but they've actually included, as you can see, covered decks and porches and a little patio space. So where it says proposed covered deck, there's actually a lower area also that there's some sitting under there. So they've come through for a site plan application. We've provided them one set of comments so far. We did note in our first set of comments that we were going in front of the committee and that we were going to be taking some comments. So I'm also, when I'm done my brief little presentation, I'll take some notes also that I can incorporate into the second submission comments when they do come in with that submission. So like I said, it's pretty straightforward. They're just replacing an old clubhouse. I do have floor plans. I don't know if those were included on the agenda. I should have had a look before
I didn't see it.
If the committee would like, I can share my screen. I do have the floor plans available. ultimately, at the end of the day, I think a lot of that would be addressed or reviewed during the building permit stage. I don't know if anyone in the committee is familiar, but we don't actually register floor plans with a site plan application. So they don't form part of like the agreement and formal document, but they are important, obviously, when it comes to the building permit stage, and the building inspecting and the building team is doing their review to ensure compliance with all the accessibility standards. Big thing for planning wise, obviously, is the parking. You can see that there are 2 spaces that have been delineated for the barrier-free spaces. My understanding, I have aerial imagery. I just confirmed again, they are existing. I did make a note. If you see the pathway kind of appears to drive straight into one of those parking spaces, I've made that comment to them. I think it was more just a drawing error that when they submitted the plan. However, I have noted that one. The way the property is currently configured, they have no parking kind of in front of the building itself, which is obviously posing a challenge because, even when we put our eyes to things, we would like to have those parking spaces closer to the building and, right up against them if that's possible. Again, I'd just like to predicate a lot of this is existing today. So that's a lot of the comments and feedback we've been receiving. Again, I'm looking for the committee to provide me some comments so that I can go back to them and see if there's some ability for them to possibly rework, redesign, and accommodate some of the requests from the committee.
Any comments or suggestions for Andy? I guess from my point of view, first of all, we as our committee appreciate knowing about this, in advance. That's great. You're talking about banquet hall, conference facility, eating establishment. It sounds like in the fullness of time, the plans for those things will basically be completed, and I'm assuming that we're going to find out about that as we move forward. And in other words, you're not saying, okay, do you guys agree with this, and then you're going to do what you want, or are you going to give us a little more detail? Because when I looked at this information, I thought, yeah, it looks good, but I'd like to get a little more detail as to what exactly is planned from a through accessibility lens.
Yeah, and as you can see, that there is even an existing event tent. So this is an interesting facility because it is partially a private golf club, but it is open to the public, is my understanding. So they do offer a lunch, a brunch kind of thing where you don't have to go there to golf. You can just a public member of the public can just show up. And similarly with the events that they do hold, generally it's weddings, is my understanding, golf tournaments. They have expressed to us that in the event that there is an event taking place, such as a wedding, then the golf course wouldn't be open, or i.e. the restaurant in the clubhouse wouldn't be open to the public, kind of thing. And by going through that approach, it allows just for that one function to occur, so that you don't have a golf course going on with a wedding going on, and now there's absolutely no parking and it's completely saturated and there's nowhere to park, right? So these are the kind of conversations that we're having with them, because we had some concerns about that, with multiple events taking place at the same time. So this is still a very active application. Like I said, we've had one submission, we've had one set of comments go back. And we are anticipating a next submission shortly. And again, in which case, any comments I get today, I'll try to incorporate them into that commenting package for them to look at and to consider and to try to assist here. Again, even those 2 spaces that are delineated now, I don't know if the committee thinks it's better. My concern is crossing that driveway to get to that spot, where if you look more to, if you can put the cursor kind of where to the top left, where it shows the first parking space, it says 5.8 meters. I almost feel like that is a more appropriate location, just because you're not crossing that driveway aisle. Again, that's why I'm here. I would love to get the feedback of the committee so that I can go back to the applicant and express these comments to them.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Well, I mean, the overarching objective, of course, is the final design will be fully AODA compliant. That's obviously what everybody wants to strive for, but
Yeah.
that's why I'm looking for a little more detail at the appropriate time.
Well, and you know, again, it sounds as though you didn't see the floor plans, right? So, you know,
No.
even if the committee would like to, I can certainly share my screen. I do have them open right now. You know, the only problem is you guys are going to be seeing them at first glance, and you really haven't had an opportunity to
too early.
thoroughly go through and say, hey, this, you know, similar to the comments we just heard about the washroom design, you know?
Right.
But yeah, if the committee would wish, you know, if I can get permission, I have no problem sharing my screen.
If I could,
Well, not right now. We don't have the time right now.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Sure.
And I said at the appropriate time. Now is
Yep.
not the appropriate time. Maybe later.
Maybe at the building permit stage. You're right, Chair.
Yeah.
if I could jump in real quick,
ahead.
just one thing I'm kind of surprised about looking at the plans here is that there's only 2 wheelchair spots, and I recognize our accessibility spots, excuse me, and recognize it's golf course, it's golf club, and so their focus is probably singularly on you know, able-bodied people like myself that don't really have these limitations. But I think, you know, one, it is still a public space, an event space that are going to be hosting weddings. You know, only 2 locations. I think about my own wedding just a couple of years ago, right? We had my own grandparents and other people that attended that required wheelchair accessible parking. And, you know, 2 spots isn't really that many spots when you're hosting 200 people, right?
I agree.
I like your idea about using that top row on the plans there for additional accessibility spaces there. I think that makes a lot of sense. But also too, just recognizing like golf has become very popular. And I think within the golf community, I'm an avid golfer myself, there's certainly a lot more of emphasis on inclusivity within golf. You know, I'm thinking of like veterans who have served that come back from their tours who, you know, through whatever, have lost limbs, etc., that still are interested in playing the game of golf. I think that Midland Golf and Country Club should be keeping those people in mind in particular as well. So that would be my first initial comments. Is just two accessible parking spaces just isn't enough.
Yeah.
Good point, Caleb. Yeah, that's my thing as a person in a wheelchair. You know, and this is something that, you know, whoever's involved, they always want to just meet the minimum requirement specified by the government authority, in this case, AODA. And I'm hoping that people would strive to look a little bit beyond that, because, you know, with some of these places, you know, you're going to have well over 100 people in attendance. So I would basically just double the number of parking space. Easy for me to say. I know that there's some cost attached to that, but that's my own feeling.
Yeah, I appreciate the feedback, and you know, as we heard earlier today, and as you just stated, generally the minimum standards that's being applied.
Always.
You know, but I can, again, I'm going to look at, so the way our zoning bylaw is currently tailored, it is that standard, right? Now, to just continue on just that quick statement, we are looking to establish a brand new zoning bylaw for the town of Midland. We're preparing the request for proposals. And, you know, I think that can be a crucial component to part of that review update for our new zoning bylaw, is to look at these standards. And like you said, you know, we can always ask for more. We don't need to be at the minimum. And maybe there's an opportunity for us to even approach the accessibility committee when we're at the point with our draft zoning bylaw, or, you know, when we're going through that process, to maybe if we just hive out that section from our zoning bylaw and allow that committee to look at it and to get some feedback from the committee for that too. I think that would be beneficial.
I like that attitude. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, well,
just a second, Doug.
Yes, please.
Okay, just one thing that I don't see on here, and I may be missing it, is, and I've been here several times, is the terrain. I know if you go into the clubhouse from the front angle by the door there, you can go straight in, but I know there's access out the side and there's several steps. And it looks as though there's several steps to the event tent as well. So I don't see that sort of addressed here at all.
Really good.
That's
Yeah,
the same thing I was going to say.
It's actually, I will clarify for you because I too have actually attended. I don't believe, so are you referring, I'm circling my screen. So where it says existing building, give or take 20 square meters beside the accessible barrier-free spaces there on the left side? Is that what you're referring to right there?
No, the proposed clubhouse,
Yeah,
like you can go in the front door here
yeah.
by the loading, and then there's a side entrance as well currently. But there's several steps there, but I don't see that there. And then right to the right of the event tent, I see stairs there.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to clarify. It's actually a little building with kind of like a bar, if you will. It's not
Oh.
actually steps. It's a little. They use that as a barbecue stage. So when they have a golf cart tournament occurring, the golf carts will stop beside that thing, that little building,
Okay.
and they'll have burgers ready for them. And so it's not actually sets, but there is still some grading and topography
There
challenges
is.
with the site. You're right. You know, if you move up to where the existing golf cart parking is and where the driving range is, I understand that that's where they situate the chairs during the wedding.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there
But
is
even to
some
get-
steps there.
Yeah, but even to get in and out of the clubhouse
Yeah.
and accessibility within the clubhouse even now is tricky for some people.
Okay. And like I said, so if
Yeah.
I'm turning my head, I'm just making
Yeah.
some notes off screen here. Okay.
Yeah.
I think you're going to find this build is going to be really problematic. I mean, we're looking at walking distance for some, and it's regardless of which way you're going from where the parking is, there's a lot of walking, there's a lot of crossing paths, there's a lot of different terrains. As people have noted already, you don't have nearly enough parking spots for capacity. So best practice, let's say you had 200 to 300 people, would be, so for specific accessible parking spots, those are the ones that have the space on it. So like wheelchair type of van, you're looking at best practices 5 to 10 spots. And then just for designated accessible spots, the ones that don't have the paths, for that capacity, you're looking at 10 to 20 spots, just to give you like the best practice gold standard. So you guys are way below.
Well, and even as you're speaking, I'm looking at our standard in our zoning bylaw. So the 401 to 500 person capacity, that only triggers 5 spaces.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the 101 range to 200 is 2 spaces. So again, it's the minimum standard, right? Which is, it's not the reality of things.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the standards that I'm quoting are more like federal standards, which eventually, when we update the AODA, because keep in mind we haven't updated since 2005, they're gonna lean towards that. I've been having conversations with the Rick Hansen Foundation about this, and we're gonna end up going towards CSA standards.
Yeah.
So if you're building and you're thinking about future and not having to retrofit when those standards come down the line, the CSA, like leaning towards the CSA numbers, is your better sort of bet.
CSA numbers.
Right
Great.
on.
Thank you for that.
Right on. Okay, so I think we've had a good fulsome discussion about this item. Andy has taken lots of notes.
I have. Thank you for that, by the way. It's
no
great.
problem. Thank you very much. So I think we've got now.
I think there was one other item, another site plan, right?
Oh yeah, so so this will be done then. We're dealing right now with site plan SPA 06-25. So we'll say we've done that. So we'll move on to the next one, which is SPA 07-25.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So this is another very interesting site plan application. So based on the image on the screen, you can obviously see the proposed 2-story restaurant. So there's just for context purposes, this property currently contains the Super 8 Hotel here in Midland. It's kind of in that 93 corridor where all the commercial stuff is. So currently there is a bit of a green space at the back half of that property where the motel ends, and they have proposed to put a 2-story restaurant here, an eating establishment. They actually had to go through a rezoning application to get some relief for some items. So that's been done with. They're now coming in for the site plan application. So similar to the golf club, we've had one submission review. We've provided them comments. this property again, this goes back to another retrofitting and redeveloping a property. You know what I mean? They're trying to stay within the confines of what they have currently today, but in my opinion, it creates some design challenges for them. You know, again, just looking at the property here, there's essentially one barrier-free parking space kind of in front of the restaurant. You know, I know that if you scroll down a little bit more, they've got a couple other locations, spaces, but I believe that those are obviously for the hotel component. So again, it's unfortunate that when we review these applications, they come in as a site, right? So we have to consider all the elements and everything. So I did acknowledge, it's part of the first comments, you know, that the crossing a laneway is concerning to me. So I've addressed that to them. Some of the standard comments, you know, just making sure that we have the curb cuts there that include the tactile plates. But essentially, this is what they've come in with. Again, we've had one review, one set of comments gone back. We're anticipating a second review. Again, I don't think you guys were privy to have the floor plans provided on the agenda. I think going forward, I don't prepare the items when our secretary, our planning department administrative assistant, she's the one that prepares them for them. I'll make a mention to her or a note to her just to say, you know, going forward, maybe include the floor plans too, right? So that I know there's building permit review component, but just for the committee's benefit, right, to be able to see the floor plans too, because they see a little bit of a patio space shown out on the side, and my understanding is on the second floor there's also an outdoor patio space too that can be accessed. My understanding is that there is an elevator that's located in there in the restaurant component, but at this moment, this is all I really have to go work with and to work off of. So any comments the committee have, I'm all ears.
Any comments for Andy? Again, you know, I'd like to get a little more information on that at the appropriate time. Now is not the appropriate time, but we'll certainly have that to revisit we'll basically come back to our committee at the appropriate time. Any other comments?
For me, just the same comments as before for Midland Golf and Country Club. You need more accessible spots and where they're located. Like if this one at the bottom left is for the restaurant, I'm not really sure why that's the location they picked for instead of at the top there. Go ahead.
Sorry, committee member. The only reason why is I believe the entrances are along that side.
Oh, okay.
So I think their mindset. So if you look, you can see the two little grayish triangles.
Okay.
Those would be the entrance points.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
I think they're trying to keep it close to the doors.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
But yeah.
Yeah,
sorry,
I missed those.
Interrupted you.
No, not at all. That was helpful clarification. So it makes sense, I guess, if that's a location, but I think you need to have at least two, probably more than that, obviously. But yeah, one is obviously doesn't really feel like the bare minimum even.
I was anticipating the comments, so before you even said it, I had written on my notes here: provide more spaces.
Perfect.
And location.
Okay, that sounds great. Thanks, Caleb, and thanks again, Andy.
Very welcome.
Any final questions for Andy? Okay, well, again, we've had a good full discussion on this, and thanks very much, Lisa, as well, for your comments and suggestions. So we've reviewed it, we've commented, stuff will be coming back. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that, and it was really nice to meet you, Andy.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, the rest of the committee members. And like I said, I think it would be really important we engage you guys when we go through with our new zoning bylaw when we get there, which I would say probably later in the year. But anyways, I think it's really worthwhile to have some input from the committee. So thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, folks, so we've now completed items 7.4 and 7.5 on our agenda. And I'm feeling a little bit better in terms of not taking too much time. You know, I'm very mindful that everybody has a lot of demands on their schedules. So now basically that takes us to items 7.6 and 7.7. 7.6 is the MyApp for the Township of Springwater. And as usual, the paperwork is done beautifully. I've gone through every word like I always do. I mean, they basically used a lot of the stuff from previous MyApps, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then they focus on some of the stuff that's planned for the immediate future. But all of that to say that I am totally in support of their multi-year accessibility plan. So I have nothing to say other than that, but I certainly want to provide other members of the committee with the opportunity to make any comments or suggestions before we move to basically just accepting it. Any comments or suggestions? Again, I think it's very, very professionally done. I think Lacey McKay, is she still with Springwater? I think she's done a really good job.
Katja Wender is here for Springwater
Oh,
today.
hi, Katya. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Happy New Year.
Good to see you again, Katya.
Yeah, as Chair Meme was saying, a lot of it is from our previous annual reports that we do. So we did want to include a summary of that for our council to kind of review, and then we get into the 2026 through 2030 plans. A lot of it's very general. I know some are already in action, such as updating HR policies is currently being done. Our communications team is working on a new website right now. So they're ensuring all of that fits the standards. Something I have noted, which is what I heard Lisa speak to earlier, is that when our teams are doing new site plans or anything like that, to lead towards the CSA numbers rather than the AODA.
Yeah.
So I have made note of that to make our teams aware too. That way we're planning for the future. And yeah, happy to receive any feedback to refine the plan before we present it to our council in February.
Thanks very much, Katya. Any suggestions or comments to Katya? Okay, I don't see anything. As I've already said, this is very professionally done.
Thank you.
And I'm totally in support of it. So unless I don't think there's any more questions. So that's going to basically take us to the recommended action, which in essence is to A, receive the plan, and B, basically to agree that this report be presented to council at a future meeting. I think you said maybe in February.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah, sure, Lisa.
When you have these reports finalized, you post them on the website, I assume, for like citizens to read if they want to?
Yes, yeah.
Do you post plain language versions of them as well?
That is a great question. I believe we do. So I'm just going to make a note. Language. I believe we do. I'll have to check with our communications team and get back to you with a solid answer. Our communications team usually updates our PDFs to plain language and ensures they can be read by screen readers as well. So yeah, they should be available for that as well.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other points or questions? Okay, so once again, we've received the MyApp, and I think, you know, we basically, in essence, endorse the MyApp. So with that as an intro, then I'll need somebody to move to basically accept that recommendation. I will so move that one. It's very, very well done. So I'll move that. I just need a seconder. So we have Caleb. Okay, so that's now accepted. Thank you very much. It's going to allow us to move forward in pretty good time, I'd say. So now I think we're going to item 7.7. That's sort of the final item on our agenda. This is from the Township of Tay in regard to the annual accessibility compliance report. Again, the action that's being proposed is receive the information and basically subject to any of our recommendations to present this to council at a future meeting. Any general comments before we get into this, or is there any formal presentation by Tay that they wish to make at this point?
Thank you, through you. I don't have anything further to add, but happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thanks, Lacey.
I've got a question, Doug.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Lacey, it's Jan.
Hi, Jan.
Just around the facilities on page 4, the second bullet.
Yep.
And it talks about building conditions assessments, which I wasn't sure what that was because I hadn't seen that, or I don't recall seeing that before in other reports. So I did look it up, and it looked like it looked at structural, mechanical, and electrical.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, and then in brackets, you've got keeping accessibility in mind. So I wondered what that looked like in terms of accessibility when you're looking at structural, mechanical, and electrical.
Mm-hmm.
And how is that tied into accessibility?
Right, good point. I would have to ask the manager of facilities to comment further on that, as I'm not part of these building condition assessments myself. But I could follow up.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah, I agree with that last comment. Anything else? Okay, so again, we've received it, and it looks like we're in a position where we can agree that this compliance report be presented to council for a future meeting. Do I have someone that wishes to make a motion to that effect? I don't see anybody waving. And okay. So Sean, okay, and we need a seconder for this, please.
Melissa's there.
I think that was that Lisa, perhaps? Okay, Lisa, she seconded it. So that's good. Thank you very much. That's done. So we're pretty well done. So now that leads us to item 8 on our agenda, other matters for consideration. Does anyone have any? Okay, how about this? Confidential.
I'd like to ask a question. The other day I've been driving a friend of mine around whose wife is in the hospital and he needs transportation. He lives in the Port McNicoll area. I don't know who to bring this up to, but we stopped at the post office in Port McNicoll, and the accessible parking spot is where they've gone and plowed all of the snow into. And I think this is absolutely ridiculous that the handicap spot has a 5-foot high mountain of snow in it.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if anybody that deals with the Port McNicoll area could maybe address that concern.
I can make a phone call to the post office.
Thank you. I don't live in Port. When I pulled in, I thought this is absolutely ridiculous. I realize we've got a lot of snow and we need places to put it, but the handicap parking spot's not the appropriate spot.
Right, exactly. Yeah, this is a comment that I hear quite often from a lot of people. Anything else? Okay, so thanks very much, Steve. So down to item 9. Anybody has any confidential matters for consideration? Okay. I don't think so. Don't see anything. So at this point then, I'm going to basically resolve that we basically adjourn today's meeting at, I guess it's about 12:05, I guess, according to my computer. And so we'll basically adjourn today's meeting. I'll need a mover and a seconder for that. So we've got Caleb and we've got Steve. Thank you very much, everyone. I guess our next meeting will also be a virtual meeting. It'll be on the 17th of March, and I look forward to seeing you all then. But in the meantime, thank you very, very much for supporting this very good committee. You've made a lot of extremely useful comments that you are making a difference to our community. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everyone.